Oh, are we back? Are we back? Back like we never left. Should I move this thing or not? I don't really know. Yeah, busy doing it on my phone. Wow. Triladi, okay. Just trying to remember what way I must go, what I'm doing, and all these things. But I'm on.
Every day, people juggle so many different tools just to get work done. A simple task turns into a time-consuming.
Yeah. Now the escape path requires reinstalling, finding passwords, disappointing someone. Easier to obey.
Okay. Yes, sir. Okay, so this is working. That isn't. It's tripping heavily. It's genuinely tripping heavily and I don't know what to do. Okay, no, it's not tripping. It's not tripping. Everything is going well. Books and pens out. Let's learn how to make our minds obedient, man.
There's a level of mental control that makes disobedience impossible. And today you'll discover how a 17th century samurai who commanded his mind like a general commands an army developed a system that eliminates internal rebellion completely. Have you ever noticed how some people's minds just obey them? They decide to wake up early, they wake up early. They decide to focus, they focus. They decide to stop a bad habit, it stops. No negotiation, no internal argument, no willpower struggle. Their mind simply does what they tell it to do. While everyone else is at war with themselves, while everyone else's mind sabotages their decisions, these people have a different relationship with their own consciousness. And you know what most people think? They're just naturally disciplined. They have iron willpower. Their mind works differently than mine. But what if I told you that your mind's disobedience isn't permanent? What if the reason your mind ignores you isn't because it's broken, but because you've never trained it to obey? Miyamoto Musashi commanded his mind with absolute authority. He could decide to feel no fear, and fear would vanish. He could decide to focus for hours, and distraction.
Something gotta go wrong. Something gotta go wrong. Nothing is playing now. Okay. It took the thing down.
Decide to act. And hesitation.
Why are my headphones not working now? There we go. Okay.
Would dissolve. And before he died, he wrote down the exact training system he used to make his mind completely obedient. He called it Kokoro no Shihai, mastery of the heart-mind. And once you understand how it works, your mind will obey you like a trained warrior obeys a master. But there's a catch. This training will require you to do something most people refuse. Treat your mind as something separate that must be trained, not something you are. Before I show you exactly how this works, subscribe to the channel, like the video below, and comment on how your mind disobeys you most. Procrastination, distraction, fear, doubt. This really helps the channel reach more people, and I love reading and interacting with all of you. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1, The Awakening. The story I'm about to tell you happened
Don't tell me to add, please. Please don't tell me to add.
to a software engineer named David. 35 years old, intelligent, capable, but completely unable to control his own mind. Every morning, David would decide to wake up at 6 a.m. His mind would say, "Sleep more," and he'd obey his mind, not his decision. At work, he'd decide to focus on a complex project. His mind would say, "Check social media," and he'd obey his mind, not his decision. At night, he'd decide to read and learn. His mind would say, "Watch Netflix," and he'd obey his mind, not his decision. The pattern was constant and humiliating. David would make conscious decisions about what he wanted to do, and his mind would simply override him. And he'd obey the override every single time. He tried everything to gain control. Productivity systems, willpower exercises, motivational content. But nothing changed the fundamental problem. When his mind said no, David couldn't make it obey. The breaking point came on a Tuesday morning. David's alarm went off at 6 a.m. for his workout. He'd committed to this the night before with total.
I was busy checking if the stream is
His
okay.
mind simply said, "No, sleep." And David watched himself from some observer position in his consciousness. obey his mind's refusal. He turned off the alarm and went back to sleep. And as he did, he thought, I'm not in control of my own mind. My mind controls me. He woke up at 9 a.m., late for work, hating himself. And he realized he'd spent 35 years obeying his mind's commands. He'd never once made his mind obey his commands. That evening, he searched How to Make Your Mind Obey You and found a discussion about samurai mental training. Someone quoted Miyamoto Musashi, "The undisciplined mind is like a wild horse. It will throw you, injure you, and never take..."
Beautiful. It can stop like that. Okay. You are not your own mind. That is the first step. That's the first thing we're gonna write. That's how we're gonna go about it. I might need to charge my phone soon. Cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, the first step is you are not your mind.
You where you want to go. The trained mind is like a trained horse. It goes where you direct, stops when you command, and responds instantly to your will. David spent the night reading the Book of Five Rings, and what he discovered explained everything. His mind wasn't defective. It was untrained, and Musashi had mapped the exact training protocol. Chapter 2. The Principle of Kokoro, no Shihai, Mastery of the Mind. Miyamoto Musashi was born in 1584. By age 13, he'd killed his first opponent in a duel. But the real battle wasn't against the opponent. It was against his own mind. Fear would say, run. Musashi needed his mind to stand. Doubt would say, you'll lose. Musashi needed his mind to execute perfectly. Pain would say, stop. Musashi needed his mind to continue. Early in his career, Musashi's mind disobeyed him constantly. Fear would paralyze him. Doubt would make him hesitate. And hesitation in a death match means death. So Musashi developed what he called Kokoro no Shihai, mastery of the heart-mind. He discovered that most people have it backwards. They think they are their mind, so they have no leverage to control it. Musashi...
Hold on. I need to... 1 minute. Let me just...
She realized, you are not your mind. You are the master. Your mind is the servant, and servants must be trained to obey. He wrote, "You must establish yourself as the master and your mind as the tool. When the tool disobeys, you must discipline it. When the tool obeys, you must strengthen it. A craftsman who cannot control his tools produces nothing. A warrior who cannot control his mind dies." David read this and had a revelation. He'd been asking his mind to cooperate. Musashi wasn't asking. He was commanding. And when the mind disobeyed, he disciplined it until it learned to obey. A Stanford neuroscientist who has been studying executive function and self-regulation for 18 years explains, the prefrontal cortex, your conscious decision-making center, should be dominant over limbic system impulses. But in most people, the relationship is reversed. The limbic system generates impulses, and the prefrontal cortex rationalizes obedience to those impulses. This can be retrained through systematic discipline protocols. David tested this immediately. His mind said, "Check your phone." Previously, he'd negotiate, maybe just once. Now, he commanded, "No, we're focusing." His mind rebelled with discomfort. But David didn't negotiate. He simply held the command. And after 30 seconds, his mind obeyed. It was the first time in his life he'd felt like the master of his own consciousness. Chapter 3. The Principle of Tanrin. Forging Through Resistance. 1 week into practicing command over negotiation, David discovered a problem. His mind would obey small commands, but when David gave a big command, "We're working on this difficult project for 3 hours straight," his mind would simply refuse. And the refusal was so strong that David couldn't override it. He went back to Musashi's writings and found the principle he'd missed. Tanrin, forging through resistance. The sword is forged by
Okay, so forging through resistance.
being heated to extreme temperature and hammered repeatedly. Each strike makes it stronger. The mind is the same. You must heat it with difficulty and hammer it with discipline. Only through this forging does the mind become obedient.
Okay, so is that step one? Is that the official step one? Forging through resistance. So pushing through the discomfort, I'm guessing. Let's see. Push through the discomfort to get your mind to be obedient. So let's say I'm guessing you tell your mind, or you want, for me, I'm gonna make an example for myself. You tell your mind that you want to do something. For example, I want to read for 30 minutes, and then it doesn't want to. Or I feel like I get distracted. No, let me just write it must just go and read, pick up that book and read. That's how I'm understanding it. But we will have a breakdown properly. Okay.
Musashi didn't expect his mind to obey difficult commands immediately. He trained it progressively.
Okay.
Small commands first, building obedience.
Okay, small commands first. Small commands first, then growing them gradually. How do you spell gradually? Slowly. Flotation. Aight.
Then slightly harder commands. Then harder still. Each successful obedience strengthened the master-servant relationship. He would start training sessions with simple commands. Sit still for 5 minutes. When his mind obeyed, he'd increase. Sit still for 10 minutes. When his mind obeyed that, harder still. Sit still for an hour in discomfort. Each successful obedience taught his mind, when the master commands, we obey. Each failed obedience taught his mind, the master can be resisted. So Musashi never gave commands his mind couldn't yet obey. David realized his mistake. He'd been giving his untrained mind commands that required advanced obedience. Of course it refused. He was asking his mind to run a marathon when it had never successfully walked a mile. So David started training progressively. Instead of focus for 3 hours on difficult work, he commanded, focus for 5 minutes on this specific task. His mind tried to resist. This is boring. Check email. But 5 minutes was short enough that David could force obedience. He held the command.
Okay, so it's basically when you feel like you want to be distracted, try and stay on the command you gave. Don't ask command. I feel like that's the first thing. You don't ask, you command. And then the second thing is you don't ask, you command. Different, pronunciations, accents. You don't ask, you command. And then number 2 is that's when you start gradually, you start slowly. You don't start I want to make 5 million today. Like, what? That's crazy. Is it possible? Don't know. Not with my level of skill, not where I'm at, but yeah. So you must start slowly, learn the skills. You start by learning the skills. As he's saying, for example, sit still for 5 minutes. I could be like, read for 5 minutes. If it's really that difficult for me, read for 5 minutes. Why I say 30? Because I usually can. That's the thing. I usually can. I did it on Monday. I'm gonna do it today because I just want 4 days, but I'm happy now. So I feel like I've already started to do this. I just want to see what level I'm at as well. And then it should be a Monday thing. Maybe do it every Monday, but with this laptop, we shall see. We shall see.
And his mind obeyed. Victory. Next time, focus for 10 minutes. His mind resisted. David held the command. His mind obeyed. The obedience muscle strengthened. After 2 weeks, focus for 25 minutes. His mind resisted less. It had learned that resistance is futile. The master's commands are not negotiable. After a month, focus for 90 minutes. His mind obeyed with minimal resistance, because it had been forged through hundreds of successful obedience experiences. A Harvard researcher who has been studying willpower and self-control for 20 years found self-control operates like a muscle. Small, successful exercises strengthen it. Large, failed exercises damage it. Subjects who practice progressive self-control challenges show exponential capacity growth. Subjects who attempt large challenges before building capacity show progressive capacity decline. But David discovered that forging obedience was only part of the system. Chapter 4. The Principle of Sagan. Cutting off escape. 6 weeks into training his mind, David faced a critical test. He'd commanded his mind, "We're not eating sugar today." His mind obeyed until 3 p.m., then launched a massive rebellion. Just one cookie.
Cutting off escape. That's number. Whatever, that's the next thing. Cut off escape. So basically make it. No, they're gonna explain it.
"You've been good all day. One won't hurt. You deserve it." The temptation was overwhelming, and David felt himself about to cave. Then he remembered Musashi's principle of Seigen, cutting off escape. When the mind sees an escape route, it will take it. When there is no escape, the mind obeys. The master must cut off all paths of retreat before giving the command. Musashi would prepare for duels by eliminating his mind's escape options. He'd announce duels publicly so shame prevented retreat. He'd study his opponent until he knew running was more dangerous than fighting. He'd meditate on death until dying became acceptable, removing fear's power to make him flee. By the time the duel arrived, his mind had no escape routes.
1 minute. Whatever.
Obedience was the only option. David realized he'd given the command without cutting off escape. His mind could see the path. Go to the kitchen, open the cupboard, eat the cookie. That visible path undermined the command. So David applied Seigen. He took all the sugar in his house and threw it away. Now the path required: get dressed, drive to store, buy sugar, drive home, eat sugar. That path was much harder than just obeying the command, no sugar today. His mind tested the path, realized it required too much effort, and obeyed the original command. David started applying this systematically. Command: work out every morning. Seigen: lay out workout clothes the night before, set alarm across the room, tell roommate to shame him if he doesn't work out. Now the escape path, staying in bed, requires social humiliation, easier to obey. Command: no social media during work hours. Seigen: delete apps from phone, use website blocker, tell colleague to check that he's not on social media. Now the escape path requires reinstalling, finding passwords, disappointing someone, easier to obey. Musashi wrote, "The warrior prepares the battlefield before the battle. He removes all paths that lead to defeat. Then..."
So basically I also, like, for example, me watching this and staying to do this needs me to cut off everything else. So luckily my sister's not here, so I'm home alone. I know I'll only do this, and then I'll eat. So this is something I really want to do. So I want to switch this on. I don't know, it's a good background. I just want a good background. Is that my mind not being obedient? Perhaps. But let me work on it. Let me just do this real quick and then before. Took longer than a minute. My apologies. I'll do better. Starting literally right now.
Victory becomes inevitable. A Yale psychologist who has been studying temptation and resistance for 17 years explains, environmental design is more powerful than willpower. When the path to temptation is made difficult, compliance increases by 60–80%. The mind calculates effort. When temptation requires more effort than compliance, compliance wins. This isn't weakness, it's strategic design. But David discovered one more critical element.
Make temptation
Chapter
difficult.
5. The Principle of Sokushin. Immediate Obedience. 2 months into training, David's mind had become significantly more obedient, but there was still a problem. When David gave a command, his mind would obey eventually, but not immediately. There was always a negotiation period. Command: get out of bed now. Mind: in 5 minutes. 10 minutes later, David would get up. He was obeying, but not immediately, and that delay was a form of disobedience. He found Musashi's teaching on Sokushin, immediate obedience. The warrior's body must respond instantly to his will. Between command and execution, there must be no gap. If the warrior commands strike and his body hesitates, he dies. Train your mind to obey the instant you command, not when it feels ready. Musashi trained immediate.
Train your mind. Train your mind to command immediately, not when it's ready. Not when it's ready.
Obedience ruthlessly. He would give himself commands and count. 1, 2, 3. If his body hadn't moved by 3, he would discipline himself by doing the action 10 times instead of once.
So give a command and count to like 3 or 5, let's say 3 or 5. Give command, then count. Okay. 3 to 5 seconds. And if it's not doing it, by 5, do it many times. So 10 times there. So let's say 10 times. As punishment. Okay, let me just turn the page. Jeez. Wow. Come on. I don't have to read on the same page. I need different color pens just to make it nicer. But yeah, let's go.
His mind learned. Immediate obedience is less painful than delayed disobedience. David adopted this protocol. Every morning, alarm rings, feet hit floor immediately. No negotiation period, no 5 more minutes. Instant obedience. The first week was brutal. His mind would scream for delay. But David held the standard: immediate obedience or no obedience counts. If he delayed, he'd reset and practice immediate response 10 times. Stand up, lie down, stand up, lie down. 10 repetitions. His mind learned quickly. Immediate obedience, 1 action. Delayed disobedience, 10 actions. The mathematics favored immediate obedience. Within 2 weeks, his alarm would ring and his feet would hit the floor before his conscious mind even engaged. The obedience had become automatic. He applied this everywhere. Decision to...
That's a good exercise to do. You just start with alarm. And if you don't really wake up, just stand up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. 10 times, your mind must get it. So this is a daily thing. Or is it we do it many times also in a day? I think that depends on the individual. But minimum daily, every day.
Work. Begin immediately. Not in 5 minutes. Decision to exercise. Start immediately, not after this episode. Decision to stop eating. Stop immediately, not after this last bite. The gap between decision and action closed. And when there's no gap, disobedience can't enter. Musashi wrote, "The master swordsman strikes in the same moment he decides to strike. The moment of decision is the moment of action."
Hold on. My sister.
Amateur warriors think, then act. The delay between thought and action is where death enters. An MIT cognitive scientist who has been studying action initiation for 16 years found, implementation delay creates decision reopening. When subjects delay action after deciding, they create opportunity for decision reversal. When action follows decision immediately, completion rates increase by 200%. The gap is where failure lives. But there was one final principle that completed the system. Chapter 6. The Principle of Ishin. One mind, unified. 3 months into his training, David had transformed his mental obedience. But he noticed something strange. In some situations, his mind obeyed perfectly. In other situations, he still struggled. He found Musashi's final principle. Ishin, one mind, unified. The mind divided against itself cannot be commanded. Part wants to obey, part wants to rebel. This division creates internal war. You must unify your mind before you can master it. Musashi discovered that disobedience often comes from internal division. Part of you wants to wake up early, achievement self. Part of you wants to sleep, comfort self. When these parts are in conflict, whichever is stronger in that moment wins. And you can't control which is stronger. The solution: eliminate the division. Create one unified mind with one clear hierarchy of values. Musashi spent years in meditation establishing his hierarchy.
I feel like with some stuff, this is exactly where I am. Because I know, okay, there's this thing I must do, there's this thing I must do. Or multiple things I must do. And I tend not to have a priority thing. It's just whatever, whatever, whenever. For instance, today what did I do? I don't know. I took my time. I was just delaying. So I'm still on there. I was delaying to do, not this necessarily, but I was supposed to do schoolwork, for example. Because I was supposed to be at school today, so it was a school day necessarily. So if I'm not there, I'd rather just do work so I'm on top of things, perhaps ahead. And if there's something I don't understand now, then I have questions for class. Because usually when we're in class and the lecturer asks us if we have questions, we don't. Because we just learned it now, so it kind of makes sense until we go through it ourselves, and then we'll need to ask questions. Get me? But yeah, that is just something I thought about. Interesting.
History, comfort, life, fear, truth, approval. Once these hierarchies were absolute, His mind had no internal conflict. When comfort said sleep and mastery said train, there was no battle. Mastery was definitionally more important. David realized his obedience struggles always came from internal division. Part of him wanted discipline, future self. Part of him wanted comfort, present self. And he'd never established which one was dominant. So David created his hierarchy: long-term growth, short-term comfort commitment, convenience, truth, social.
So developing a hierarchy. So I'm guessing if you have goals, which one is the most important? You have to put it there, or put them in order of hierarchy. So you know, I have to study or do some schoolwork. I don't know, that would be high up my thing, my hierarchy. But I feel like me learning skills could help me with my schoolwork and understanding it. So I would have to do that first, necessarily obedient. It's like learning skills, like making my mind obedient, would help me. It's a, what is it, a funnel-ish thing, drop down effect where, like, okay, sharp, I could, when I teach my mind to be obedient, that helps me with studying. Then I study when I want to, like, okay, when I say I'm gonna study, I study. You get me? There's no in betweens or whatnot. And then yeah, so just there and there for like, that's what I mean.
Approval, health, pleasure presence, distraction. He wrote these down, memorized them, and most importantly, he made them non-negotiable. These weren't preferences, they were law. Now when his mind said sleep more, comfort, David's unified mind had a clear answer. Growth is higher priority than comfort. We're getting up. No internal debate. The hierarchy was established. When his mind said, check social media, distraction, his unified mind answered, presence is higher priority than distraction. We're staying focused. No conflict. The internal division dissolved. And when the mind is unified, obedience becomes natural, because there's no rebel faction to support disobedience. A Princeton researcher who has been studying internal conflict and self-concordance for 19 years explains, internal value conflict is the primary predictor of self-control failure. When competing values have equal weight, behavior becomes inconsistent. When values are hierarchically organized with clear dominant structures, self-control success increases dramatically. This isn't suppression of desires. This is establishing which desires are definitionally more important. Chapter 7. The Complete Transformation. 6 months after discovering Musashi's training system, David's mind had become completely obedient. The transformation was absolute. He'd wake up when he decided to wake up. No negotiation. Alarm rings, feet hit floor, immediate obedience.
There's a key word he said there, and I may just be looking for the negatives, but David decided to wake up whenever he wanted to when he wanted to wake up. So what if you feel like you lie to yourself and then you tell yourself, no, yes, I feel like I want to wake up later, but that's you or your mind being disobedient, and just rebelling against you and your commands. But I guess so you must also just, it's a tricky one a little bit. It is a tricky one. Perhaps I'm just overthinking. Yeah. So yes, I'm guessing in this scenario, we know what we want to do and we do it. And that's after 6 months, complete transformation for him, David. So that would mean he knows what he wants and he consistently does it. I think daily thing. Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I think. So
He'd focus when he decided to focus. No distraction. Mind commanded to work, mind works. Complete obedience. He'd exercise when he decided to exercise. No excuses. Body commanded to move, body moves. Total obedience. He'd eat what he decided to eat. No cravings overruling decisions. Menu commanded to follow plan. Menu follows. Perfect obedience. His friends noticed. You're like a robot. You just decide and do. Don't you struggle like normal people? David's answer, I'm not a robot. I'm just someone who trained my mind to obey. Everyone struggles because everyone's mind is untrained. He'd built complete mental obedience through Musashi's 5 principles. First, Kokoro no Shihai, mastery of mind. Establish yourself as master, mind as servant. Command, don't ask. Discipline disobedience, reward obedience. Second, Tanrin, forging through resistance, progressive difficulty. Small commands first. Build obedience capacity gradually. Never command what mind can't yet obey. Third, Saigen, cutting off escape. Remove paths to disobedience. Make temptation difficult. Make obedience easy. Environment supports commands. Fourth, Sokushin, immediate obedience. Zero gap between command and action. Delay is disobedience. Train instant response. No negotiation period. Fifth, Ishin, one mind unified. Establish clear value hierarchy. Eliminate internal conflict. No competing desires of equal weight. Unity creates natural obedience. David's colleague who'd watched his transformation asked, "How do you have such incredible discipline?" David's answer was precise. I don't have discipline. I have an obedient mind. There's a difference. Discipline is forcing yourself to do things. Obedience is training your mind, so forcing isn't necessary.
Damn, I forgot what I was gonna ask. Or what I was gonna just talk about. Okay, now I remember. So I'm guessing, I wonder if this mastery of the mind works for everything. And when I say everything, I mean in terms of, like, let's say me doing my work and stuff. But I guess it will encompass everything, which will probably take a lot of time. Yeah.
The trained mind doesn't need to be forced. It simply obeys. Like a trained horse doesn't need to be beaten. It responds to the slightest pressure from the rider. Chapter 8. The Truth About Mental Obedience. Here's what David learned that most people never understand. Your mind's disobedience isn't permanent. It's the result of training. Specifically, training in disobedience. Every time your mind disobeys and you accept it, you train disobedience. Your mind learns, commands are optional. We can ignore them. And the disobedience pattern strengthens. Every time your mind disobeys and you enforce the command anyway, you train obedience. Your mind learns, commands are mandatory, resistance is futile, and the obedience pattern strengthens. Most people have spent decades training disobedience. They make decisions their mind immediately overrules, and they accept the override every single time. By 30 or 40, their mind has learned that it's the master and they're the servant. Musashi did the opposite. From early in his training, he never let his mind disobey without consequence. His mind learned, the master's commands are absolute. Obedience is the only option. David had spent 35 years training disobedience. But in 6 months of training obedience, he'd reversed the pattern completely. Because the mind learns quickly when the training is consistent. This is the truth. You're not battling your mind. You're training your mind. Every interaction is a training session. Either you're training obedience or you're training disobedience. There's no neutral. David started seeing every moment as training. Alarm goes off. Training session. Do I train obedience or disobedience? Impulse to check phone. Training session. Do I train obedience or disobedience? Decision to work. Training session. Do I train obedience or disobedience? Each moment of obedience strengthened his command. Each moment of disobedience would have weakened it. So he chose obedience in every training session, and after 6 months, his mind was trained like Musashi's mind. Instant obedience, no resistance, complete mastery. A Columbia University researcher who has been studying habit formation and behavior change for 21 years found the relationship between conscious intention and behavioral execution is trainable. Subjects who consistently enforce their intentions show progressive strengthening of intention-behavior coupling. Subjects who allow intentions to be overridden show progressive weakening. This is neural pathway reinforcement. Each repetition either strengthens or weakens the pathway. Chapter 9. The Path Forward. Here's exactly how to train your mind to obey you using Musashi's method. Month 1. Establish mastery. Kokoro no Shihai. Shift identity. I am the master. My mind is the tool.
Okay, so I guess it gives this, so let's try it out. Month 1. Identity shift. Me, master, mind, tool. Yes. Yes.
Start giving small commands. Sit still for 5 minutes. Take 3 deep breaths. Stand up right now. When mind...
Small commands. Even if it's irrelevant commands, I wonder if it works. Obedience is obedience, right?
Mind obeys. Acknowledge success. Reinforce obedience. When mind disobeys. Immediate discipline. Repeat command 5x.
Okay, so that's the discipline. Damn, so the discipline, the punishment would be, let's say I say I must focus for 2 hours. No. That's in the beginning. So it'll be, let me focus for 10 minutes or 5 minutes. And if it disobeys, you focus for 10 minutes 5 times, not 50 minutes yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Goal. Establish master-servant relationship. Month 2. Progressive forging.
Okay, goal. I win a man. The goal is to establish master tool relationship. I think that's what he said.
Tanren. Increase command difficulty gradually.
Month 1. That was
Week.
all for month 1. Month 1. I mean, if this is bullshit, we're gonna make it work. Fuck it. The fuck.
1. 5-minute commands. Week 2. 10-minute commands. Week 3. 25-minute commands. Week 4. 1-hour commands. Never increase difficulty until current level has 90% obedience. Goal. Build obedience capacity through progressive challenges. Month 3. Cut off escapes. Saigon. For each major
Damn, that just went over my head real quick, and I'm afraid to do this thing. Let's see. Let's go. Okay. Out quickly before it disobeys. You know, this laptop. Whew. Okay, so let's see what month 2.
3 deep breaths. Stand up right now. When mind obeys, acknowledge success. Reinforce obedience. When mind disobeys.
Okay, so that's one thing I forgot. When mind obeys, acknowledge success. Let's go.
Immediate discipline. Repeat command 5x. Goal. Establish master-servant relationship. Month 2. Progressive forging. Tanrin. Increase command difficulty gradually. Week 1. 5-minute commands. Week 2. 10-minute commands. Week 3. 25-minute commands. Week 4. 1-hour commands. Never increase.
So I say 10. Week 1, 10. Week 2. Damn it, man. Why am I not listening? I'll just check the chat. That is my fault yet again. Same mistake.
Increase difficulty until current level has 90% obedience.
Oh my word.
Immediate discipline. Repeat command 5x. Goal. Establish master-servant relationship. Month 2. Progressive forging. Tanrin. Increase command difficulty.
What is it? Something forging. Mind forging, I guess. Increase difficulty gradually. No time to explain.
Difficulty gradually. Week 1. 5-minute command.
Okay, let's go. Five minutes.
Commands. Week 2. 10-minute commands. Week 3. 25-minute commands.
Okay.
Week 4. 1-hour command. Never increase difficulty until current level has 90% obedience.
%90 obedience.
Goal. Build obedience capacity through aggressive challenges. Month 3, cut off escapes.
Month 3, cut off escapes. Okay, well, I'm trying to write too fast and when I do that, it's trash. Like, to a point where I can't even read what I wrote later on.
Saigon. For each major command, identify escape routes, systematically close all escape routes before giving command physical escapes. Remove temptation from environment. Social.
Remove. Is it working?
Escape.
Yes. Remove. Crazy. This was supposed to be a tester, not the official one. But when it starts working, I had to do what I had to do. Shit. Escape. Identify and then remove escape routes. Okay.
Create accountability that makes disobedience costly. Mental escapes. Visualize consequences of disobedience.
This word. So visualize the consequences of escape. Or disobedience. Let's go.
Goal. Make obedience the path of least resistance.
Okay, make obedience the path of least resistance. And that's only month 3.
Month 4. Immediate response.
Okay.
So-
Okay. So month 4, immediate response. Then month 5 will probably be. Looking at my notes. Month 5 will be unifying your mind. I wonder what month 6 would be. Keep it going. Perhaps. What is it? Immediate response. Okay. Yep.
Kyokushin. Implement 3-second rule.
Still say 3 to 5.
Command given. Action starts within 3 seconds. If delay occurs, reset and practice immediate response 10 times.
Okay. I basically wrote all those notes for no reason. I could have just skipped to this, but it was helping me focus. So it was a challenge for obedience, and we won. Here, here. Reset and practice. Immediate response. I'm gonna call it IR because what?
Practice daily. Alarm. Feet hit floor.
Practice daily. That's all I said.
No delay. Practice daily. Decision to work. Work begins, no buffer. Practice daily. Decision to stop. Vice.
Stop vice would be stop doing something that's not beneficial. Like, let's say if I'm just watching TV, steady chilling, when I know there's something I need to do, is me stopping it immediately, not saying the next episode. Right? I know I'm talking to myself, but you know what I'm saying?
Vice stops. No, one more. Goal. 0 gap between command and execution.
I wonder how I'm gonna turn this into a video. This I'm probably gonna leave like that. Maybe make a thumbnail. Me focused like this. I don't know. But some other nature, and then while I'm doing the vlogs, I also do this. But then how am I gonna differentiate which clip is for which? That we shall see when we get there. 0 gap. My go.
Month 5 or 6. Unify mind. Ishin. Write your value hierarchy.
Right? Value. Hierarchy. That was weird. Decide what is more important. So I'm doing this the old-fashioned way. pen, book. Yeah.
What's definitionally more important than what? Memorize it until it's automatic.
I was about to say that sounds like a lot of work. Also, another thing, I want to learn how to learn faster. Or better. Right? Because some things I learn, but I just cram them. Other things I learn and they stick in you. What do I do different? I can't really identify. I feel like it's the conviction to pass, and then the you know, when you learn something that you find really interesting. I feel like that's, for me, that's the difference. When I learn something that's really interesting, that I'm like, wow, you get me? I'm inside there, you get me? Pause, I guess. But the others is like, I learn to know it, but I'm not gonna know it like 3 weeks or 5 weeks or a month, 2 months. How's
When internal conflict arises, consult hierarchy immediately.
internal what conflict arises? And there's a lot of things I want to better myself. You get me? A lot of things I want to do to better myself. I already talked about that. This focusing, learning better, vocabulary, and how I'm gonna speak. That's gonna be on Friday. Why am I saying it like it's just new? It's not new, and I didn't forget. I was just. When internal conflict arises, consult hierarchy.
Higher priority value always wins. No debate. Reinforce daily. Growth, comfort, commitment, convenience. Goal: eliminate internal division through clear dominance structure. After
I'm saying the goal is to eliminate conflict with clarity. That makes sense. Oh.
6 months of this training, your mind will obey you. Not sometimes, always, not eventually. Immediately, not with struggle, naturally. A Harvard researcher who has studied self-regulation training for 19 years conducted longitudinal research. Subjects completing structured 6-month mental obedience protocols show sustained improvements in self-control, goal achievement, and behavioral consistency at 5-year follow-up. The training creates permanent neurological changes. This isn't temporary willpower. This is fundamental rewiring of command execution pathways. Miyamoto Musashi commanded his mind with absolute authority for nearly 50 years. His mind never disobeyed. Not when facing death, not when in pain, not when tempted by comfort. His mind was a perfectly trained tool that responded instantly to his will. His final words were, "I regret nothing." A life lived with complete mental obedience, not achieved through genetics, achieved through
A lot of
training.
people will be like, that guy is boring, he lived a boring life. I feel like he lived exactly what he wanted to. If this person existed, I don't really know, but whether or not he existed, this sounds like something interesting that I want to do, hence I'm doing it. I've watched this video I watched it for the first time weeks ago. So then I watched it again when I tried to do this thing, but I didn't watch it since this thing was not happening, the stream. And then I left it. because I want to really like fully watch it and like focus during the stream like now. But yeah,
That's available to you. Not the sword duels, not the wandering warrior life, but the obedient mind, the tool that responds instantly to your command, the servant that never rebels.
question, we always see these for like these spiritual things, energy and all that, like the monks and the Indian people. I think it's gurus. I don't know if it's. Hopefully, I'm not offending anyone, but the monks and them, right, for like spiritual whatever. I'm just me as the South African I am, the African I am. I wonder where, because surely every place they have their own things for like they do things differently, right? So in I think China or let me just say Asia somewhere, there's chi. They talk about chi and all these things, life energy and all that, and they meditate for what? I don't know what they're trying to accomplish, but yeah. I don't know why. I wonder what's the African. Surely there's an African tribe somewhere that still knows like what their method of meditation is, or like the replacement for meditation. Surely they must be one, right?
Your mind's disobedience isn't permanent. It's trained. And what's trained can be retrained. Every time your mind disobeys you, you have a choice. Accept the disobedience and train more disobedience, or enforce the command and train obedience. Musashi chose enforcement every single time for 50 years. That's why his mind was completely obedient. If this video changed your perspective on mental control and self-mastery, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. And tell me in the comments, what's the first command you're going to give your mind and enforce absolutely? Write it publicly. Specific command. My mind will specific.
Yeah, man. I think I didn't like it. I'm lying to you guys. Straight up lying to you guys. Am I gonna subscribe to him? Maybe. If there's more things. I did see one thing that I'm interested in. But yeah, man. See, go to this page, Presence and Blade. How to train your mind to watch this video yourself. And yeah, man. So Presence and Blade. Shout out to you for this content. This is fire. I won't lie. It shall be valuable to me. I'll make sure of it. Enjoy, man. I think I'm done with this. I don't want the stream to be long. How long is it already? How long has it been? Oh, approximately, I don't know. Oh, an hour. Right. An hour. Imagine, that's scary to see. Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. So just not gonna do it. Whack. Anyway. Why did I praise, bro? Oh my word. Come on, mate. You're not gonna do it again. Jeez. Yeah, man. So basically, that is it. That's the stream. Ooh, it almost closed OBS, bro. But yeah, that was the stream. This is how I looked the whole time. Not bad. I won't lie. But yeah, that was the stream. Hopefully you learned something. I know there's nobody there, but this is gonna be a video that's gonna stay on the channel, and we shall make the best of this knowledge that we gained, it's interesting to see because a lot of it, when I think about it, it's something that I've already done. You get me? Something I was already doing daily and before without knowing. But now that there's a structure, it may be more beneficial to me. And hopefully, whoever watches this, it's beneficial to you too. If you watched it the whole time, if not, you probably just asked the AI there to summarize the video. But you could also just watch the video on the other guy's channel, on the other person's channel, and hopefully it helps you. It's probably gonna help me. I won't lie to you. And yeah, man, let's become the better selves that we want to be. Let's become our future selves by learning all these skills. But yeah, man, until then, let's keep on keeping on, man. Oh, and it's starting.